Hello there. To those of you who I've not met before, my name is Austin Smith, and I really miss seeing everyone on Wednesday nights, but I hope you all are doing well. Miss Sharon Johnson asked if I would do a lesson on how to draw Aslan. So without further ado, let's get to it. For this lesson, you'll need something to color with, a pencil, a ruler, a piece of paper. This paper I'm using has a grain on it that makes it good for coloring on, and the size is 11 by 14, but whatever you have available will work. And the reference photo will be available in the email. So we're going to start by drawing a simple line down the middle of our paper. And make a small mark near the bottom of your paper. And then from that mark, measure up 3 inches. 1, 2, 3. Make another mark. And that is at the top of his mouth. It's from the bottom of his chin to the top of his mouth there. And then from that top mark, measure up 3/8. So my ruler is split up into inches, fourths, and eighths, and then 16ths, but we're only using the eighths right now. So 1, 2, 3. I'm going to go ahead and heavily define that 3/8 mark with my pencil. And now for the nose. This picture happens to be the same size as my paper, so it makes it easy for me to measure and get the right spacing and size of everything. So 1 1/4. So from the top of that mark we just defined, we're going to measure up 1 1/4 inch. So, and if it's not exact, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We're just getting the approximate distance of everything to make sure everything's in its appropriate place before we start drawing. And now for the width of the nostrils goes out 3 inches. So that's 1/2 inch on each side of the line. 1/2 inch out this way, 1/2 inch this way. Go ahead and make your mark. 1.5. Now our next mark will be from the point here, which is the outside of the nostril, up to his eye. So make our measurement there, which is, it's about 2 3/4. So 2 inches and 3/4. So 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 3/4, maybe a little bit more. So first mark, we're going to go over to the next so I can get my measurement. Go up about 3 inches from our other point, which is the other side of his nostril. So 1, 2, 3. And then we're going to measure the distance between his eyes. So we're measuring this distance here. And that is 2 3/4. So 1, 2, 3/4 of an inch. I realize this is a lot of measuring and maybe overly precise, so if you don't want to do all the measuring, you can kind of eyeball it, so to speak, but I would recommend that you at least draw this center line. That will help you see distances between things and kind of get things evened out. And also when you're drawing, look at the abstract shape of something. For instance, his nose here is really a kind of an odd shape if you just look at the outside. If you're not thinking about a nose, don't think about drawing a nose. Think about the abstract shape of an object. Or his eye, for instance. His eye it's not what you would think of an eye looking like if you kind of go around the outside here. So I encourage you to look at the abstract shape and try not to think about drawing an eye. Just think about the shape of the object. Now the width of his eye is about 1 inch. So let's measure out from that point we made and make another little mark about 1 inch out. Do the same on the other side. And now so what I'm doing is I'm creating enough dots here to where I can connect the dots, where I can connect everything together. So what I've done is I've made a measurement, or we've made a measurement for the distance of the eye, the width of it, and we can make a measurement for the height of it. You can use other points you've already established to measure another point. So for instance, the point of the nose here we created on the outside, you can measure from there to get the top of the eyelid. So that's 3 inches. So from that point to that point is 3 inches. So I've made that mark. And then a measurement for the, I'll go ahead and show you here. The measurement for this line here. So from this point down to here is about half an inch. So I have already made a bunch of points, and I'm just going to start kind of filling in here. So everything I'm filling in right now is I have already made points and measurements for that. So the eye is 1/2 inch and 1/8. It's the height of it. And for the nose, there's the outside point that we made, 2 outside points, but then there's these 2 inside points here, and the measurement for that is about 2 1/4 and then 1/8. So 2 inches, 1/4, and then 1/8. Those are those points, and I wish I had time to go over all the points with you, but I think you get the idea. I'm just gonna start filling in everything I've made points for. Now what I did to get all the measurements for this inside part of his nose here is first I measured from the top of this point, and which is about 3/4 up to here. I made a little mark, and then I measured out, and that's about 2 1/8 width there. So 2/4 and 1/8 to get that measurement. So now to get this measurement here, I simply measured from the outside point of his nose, and that got me 2 inches and 3/4. Of course, I was measuring from the photograph when I made that point. I'll just measure from there down to there. Another very important aspect to drawing is to think about the abstract shape of an object. For instance, instead of thinking I'm drawing a nose or drawing an eye, think about the shape of it. Try not to think I'm drawing an eye, because generally what we do if we think about drawing an eye, we draw a preconceived idea of what we think an eye looks like. And this is really nothing like what I would think an eye looks like. For instance, even the part of his eyeball that shows there is not even a complete circle. It's more like looks more like a jelly bean, to be honest. It's but we know the whole eye is there because there's that little shine up there. Unfortunately, the camera shut off before I was able to tell you what I was doing next. But I went in with a black pastel. You can use crayon or colored pencil. But I found the darkest areas in the picture, and from what I can tell, the darkest places are by his mouth, his nostrils, and around his eye there. And I just took that black and I filled those spots in. For some reason, it's easier to get all the darkest spots in first, and that really enables you to see where you're headed with it. So right now I'm just filling in color. I'll put in the brown where I see it. I'll put in orange where I see it. Yellow. And what I'll do is I will lay down, for instance, over here in the darker area, I'll lay down the brown, and then I'll come over top of it with maybe a darker blue or something like that. And that way I can get a different color. I can get the color closer to that by blending the brown and the turquoise. And I've done that in a few places over here where I will lay down maybe an orange first, and then I'll come back over top of that with the brown, and that gets me closer to that color. Well, that is all for now. I'd really love to see what you all come up with. You can send your artwork in for the weekly newsletter. But I'll just say Bye for now.